Hey, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. And on this episode, I have the next in our type series. And I am joined by the amazing manifesting generator, Mary, or Mary, I always call you Marieke. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing wrong. Please correct me, but I'd love you to introduce yourself.
Hi, that's so good. No, well, Marieke, it's called in Dutch, but you have this rrr, that's typical, in my case, typical Dutch. But Mary is very good also because actually Marieke is the little word of Mary, so both are good. Yes, I'm Mary, and I am a manifesting generator type, and my profile is that I'm a 5-1, and of course I'm emotionally defined, so that's a little bit my profile. Yeah.
Beautiful. So Mary is one of the amazing people from my last mastermind. And the reason why I asked, I've got a lot of MGs in my life, but one of the things that really stood out for me that I really wanted Mary to be my guest to join the Manifesting Generator podcast today was because Mary really embodies the MG in the fact that on the outside, she looks powerful, and she is powered. She's like powerful and strong and, has real presence about her, but she's the true MG in the fact that she's had to really discover her power. And, often what an MG can experience is that everyone's like, oh, it's all right for you. It's all right for you. It's all right for you. But inside, the MG is like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. And Mary really embodied, a lot of this journey across the mastermind of really being able to see what everyone else could see. Is that fair to say, Mary?
Yeah, that's definitely fair to say, especially that part of, okay, that's so easy for you. You don't have to do anything about it because you already have this power. And when you come in, you are always seen. That's actually something I always feel also. I can never come in a place without being seen. So networking is actually quite easy because people simply come towards me. I really didn't feel this power myself so much. And when I did the mastermind for the first time, I actually got this feedback about you've got so much power in you. When you come in, and it's like you're some kind of an appearance always. And that was so. When I started to notice that also in my personal life, I actually recognized that in being a powerful woman. And actually, at the moment, I'm in a burnout. I still am in a burnout. I completely burned out. And for very many people, that was definitely something they were getting surprised of, because you are in a burnout. I mean, how can you don't look that way? And because everybody thinks that when you're burned out, you have to completely lay down on a bed, I guess. But that's not my case, because I've got a lot of energy and I have to use this energy, because when I don't use it, it even gets worse. So that was definitely something.
Yeah, I love it. And we're going to talk about burnout because it's a big subject for the MG. And you've hit on so many things that we're going to talk about. So I'm getting MG overexcited. Like, so I'm going to start at ground zero. So for those of you out there listening, what makes a manifesting generator? Well, you've heard about the generators, you've heard about the manifestors, and a manifesting generator is a combination of the two. So what you're going to have in your chart, if you're a manifesting generator, you're going to have a defined sacral, and then you're going to have energy that gets to the throat. Okay, so it could be what we call a direct connection. So in Mary's case, she has you've got a couple, I'm pretty sure, but let's say you've got the solar plexus direct to the throat. I think you've got that's right, you've got 3 motors to the throat. And that makes Mary a little bit more manifester. So if you've got one channel that goes from a motor, and the motor is the will center, the sacral, the root center, and the solar plexus, then I'm pretty sure in your case, Mary, you've got the solar plexus to the throat, you've got the will center to the throat, and then you've got the sacral to the throat, all direct. So when we say direct, it means there's no center in between. And a manifesting generator could go, let's say I've got one of my sons, the energy goes up to the G center, it comes from the will center, and then directly up to the throat. So he's got two motors connected to the throat, but they're indirect. They go through another center. So a manifesting generator, and that tends to be more generator when it's an indirect, and a little bit more manifester when it is direct. And when you have those direct connections, you're going to have a lot more resonance with the manifester as well. But you still need to stick to the generator rules. This is the thing in MG, that first and foremost, you are a generator. All right, so what makes the manifesting generator different? Well, the manifesting generator, they're on it to really show humankind what is possible for human beings. They tend to have a lot of energy, and they don't necessarily have extra energy. I feel like this thing that can get a little bit confused out there. Being an MG doesn't mean you're an extrovert. I have a lot of energy. I'm actually an introvert. I know most people wouldn't realize it, but I'm very much introverted. But I have a lot of energy. The manifesting generator is also a non-linear being. This is someone who is multi-passionate. It's someone that generally will have a number of balls in the air. It's someone who learns really quickly, like they get in, they get out, they'd be learning potentially more than one thing at a time. And ultimately, the manifesting generator, like boredom is their Achilles heel. And one thing that can be challenging is that they're told to focus on one thing at a time. And in most cases, this really won't work for a manifesting generator at all. Does that resonate with you, Mary?
Yeah, totally resonates with me, especially the last part you told about this boredom and being a non-linear person. I never do things in a line. I always hop from the one to the second, to the third, to the fifth, then get back to the first. It's like some people can go from A to Z. I never go from A to Z. I go from A to G to L to M to all over the place. And although I am a person that tends to be very focused, so when there's one thing I am totally interested in, then this one thing is mine. You know, it's mine, and all my power goes to that particular thing. But when I'm done with that thing, I'm done with it. So I'm leaving it alone, and let it go for what it is. And especially the thing you told about being more of a manifesting generator. So the manifestor part of it, really many stuff that Frankie from the Manifestor podcast told were also resonating. But especially because when I thought about that, I am a manifesting generator. So first of all, a generator type. So I'm not the manifester. So I'm not initiating by myself. It's simply always in response. I always do everything in response, because then it is correct. And when I do something when I think of something myself, I think, oh, I'm going to do that or that. I always reverse engineer and think, that's at least since I found AGD, human design. Before, I never noticed that was the case. But then I go in reverse, and what am I responding now to? Want to do this? And if it's something that I simply think of and it's not something I'm responding to, I'm not going to do it because it's not correct for me. And it definitely will be some disaster that I'm coming into. So it's the boredom thing that I'm sometimes really getting bored with stuff, and I want to do some new stuff. That's especially because I've got a 36, 35. I love experiences, and that's also the motor that's going to the throat and want to start new things. but always in response. That's very important. The responding thing is so freaking important, because that's the only true and correct strategy when you're a manifesting generator. And you really should keep that in mind, because when you're not keeping that in mind, you're definitely going to get some things you have to resolve afterwards that you don't want to resolve afterwards.
And this, we've got a couple of things here that I want to share on. Now, Mary makes a fantastic point. If you're more manifester, then you're going to feel like, yep, I want to go and initiate. And especially if you have the 3420, which is the pure manifestor channel. Mary has this channel, I have this channel. You're responding like is going to be so fast. So sometimes you're not even going to know that you are responding. It's like you're just going to feel like you're going to go out and do something. However, let me bring this back to when we talk about being an MG, you're first and foremost a generator type. Now, yes, you are also your own type. We actually call it a hybrid. We have technically got 4 types in human design, and this is just one of it's like a subtype. It's the generator, but there are these little nuances that are specifically different. And the other thing with the manifesting generator is that they are also here to make mistakes. They're here to sort of break things and put them back together and make mistakes along the way. And they will learn really quickly, and they will learn from their mistakes, and they will find better ways. That's what makes them superhuman. They find better ways for the rest of the planet to do things by breaking things, by being non-linear, by whenever they're bored, responding to life and finding a new way or finding something different. But let's talk about them. They are a generator type, meaning, as Mary said, we must always respond. The strategy of a manifesting generator is to respond. Whether you're more manifestor or more generator, you still must respond, meaning that sacral center is telling you that it's either a thumbs up or a thumb down. Now, the generators, they respond with a or a directly from the sacral center. And learning to build that muscle, as we sort of talked about, you can ask your friends, family, people close to you to ask yes/no questions. And you want to re-teach people how to treat you, because every time you're asked a yes/no question, as any generator type, you activate your sacral. So all of a sudden you're making decisions with your gut instead of the mind. So really starting to build that muscle, and you must always be in response. Now, with a manifesting generator and their sacral response, they can have more language to it. There can be more expression of it, like I know for me, I'll go, yep. Like if I'm trying to hurry people up, like I'm a yep. I know it's a yes, let's just move on. There's this thing about manifesting generators that they can be very busy and they can be very fast and they can try to move people along. So as the MG, be conscious not to move people along any faster than they need to go. But that responding piece, especially if they have the 3420, you've got to practice. You have to make sure that you are in fact responding, and you'll be responding with an aha or an I see a lot of head nodding from generators and manifest generators, a lot of head shaking. There's also, with MGs, they're going to have, other words or other noises, like classic. I have 2 MG sons. My eldest, when he eats, he literally is like,
This is good.
And that's literally the sacral. Yeah, exactly. It's literally the sacral going, oh, this is so good. So pay attention to those noises that you make as a manifesting generator. Now, the thing that you do want to be conscious of is that you are responding and not initiating, because if you start to initiate, especially because a lot of you have that manifestor energy, and even the ones like my youngest son, he is not technically meant to be more manifestor, but he is so manifestor. It's not funny. Like, he is so manifestor, and it's an indirect connection. Like, he does have some aura busting channels, so I think that's also what's playing into it. But really being conscious to slow down, to reverse engineer, like Mary said, like pay attention. Am I actually responding, because what responding looks like for the manifesting generator, and this is my favorite metaphor, and I think a friend of mine introduced me to this. I'm sure Ra did a video on this, and I'm pretty sure you even mentioned it on the mastermind, is that the manifest generator and responding is very much about, it's like this metaphor of the lioness. And the lioness, she sits in wait. And this amazing beast, this apex predator, she doesn't waste her time running after bunny rabbits. She doesn't waste her time running after things that don't matter. She lays and she waits. You know, she waits for the right buffalo that will feed her whole family for as long as she needs it, exert the least amount of energy. And she just waits. And the moment that correct beast appears, she is like a powerhouse that leaps out. And that's how the manifesting generator is designed to respond. Not just throwing all of their energy or all of their power at something, really learning to wait until the correct thing for their cycle goes now. Now, one of the things that I want to, the next thing I want to talk about, and we'll get to frustration in a minute, but there is this piece with MGs that is all about power. Every MG I've come across I'm like, I can feel the power coming out of their chart. You know, Mary, you were no exception. I remember looking at your chart for the first time. I'm like, whoa. And this happens a lot. But what I see, and most often in the women that I work with, is I can feel the power coming out of this chart. And then I turn up on the call with this person, and I very quickly learn that they've been spending a lot of their childhood, especially, and now their adulthood, keeping a lid on that power, making sure that no one is offended by it, upset by it. They're trying to keep it under wraps. They don't, even trust it. And it's this journey of starting to trust that energy. And Mary, you actually spoke to it before, like you can feel that energy when you come into a room, and MGs can feel their energies just like manifestors. So can you talk a little bit to that place where, like, yeah, right, I have this power, but I'm really scared to let it out. I don't want to upset people, or I don't want it to go the wrong way. Like, can you tell me a little bit about your experience with your power and learning to really step into it?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, the first thing that came to mind in my head was when you told this, was that indeed, when I come into a room, I'm never unseen. So I can I can also never go without being not seen. So I'm always missed, and that's actually kind of cute. But the other thing about that is that I have heard so amazing many times in my life. Oh, you should slow down a little bit. Slow down a bit. You're going too fast, and you're a little bit too much. You're too much. You're always this. You're talking too quick. One thing I could recommend you in your job, for instance, when I'm doing something, an interview for a job or whatsoever, they always say, Mary. Where's the point? When do you say you speak so much? It's okay now. We know what you mean. And I think, oh, you don't know what I mean. I've got so much more to tell you. So this is really something that I was voiced down a lot of times in my life. So I had to some kind of fit into the model of that you have to let someone else speak before you speak yourself. And I always felt that this was some kind of I have to fit in. So when I speak a little bit too much, or maybe too loud, or too present, I'm too much. I always felt being brought back to that I could not be myself in the way I wanted to be myself, because it's so feeling like something of your core, your core being is being suppressed. That's actually what it is. It is like you may not be who you exactly are, and what you bring with yourself, because it's too much, and it always feels competing to people. They always have to think they have to compete to the power I bring into a room, and I don't feel that way. It's the way I am, and use it. You can use it. It's free. Especially
I
that
love
part.
that. I love
Yeah,
that.
it's
You
so
can use
totally,
it. It's free.
it's
Share it.
free. Yeah, share it. I mean, it's all, I share this energy with you because I've got this open aura, and it's all yours. So use it. And that was so amazing, liberating when I did the mastermind, that it is okay to have this. That's something that's a part of me, and that I always thought, oh my goodness, I have to bring it down. I have to suppress it. It's not okay. The society thinks of me that I have to be shy, and I have to be not present all the time. And actually, and that's not the way I am. When I am, I am. So this
and I
was
love that.
so good.
Yeah, I like, and what you said. The other thing that I just want to come back in is like, you're too much. Like, this is the thing that I hear so much with MGs that have learned to shut themselves down, especially if you've got a defined will center, like that amplifies it. But we're not talking about that today. But like for the MG, you are too much. You know, I hear this all the time in these amazing, powerful women that I go on this journey to reconnect them to their power. And that's so something that, you know, seeing you in our group, like one of the things, because we had also all the types in your group, and so often I was very conscious that we had a reflector, we had manifestor, we had projectors, and I would often be like, oh, sorry, Mary, I have to leave you to the end. And the thing that I noticed very quickly was we would come around to you at the end, and because you would often write it out, and your words are so beautiful, especially like you do so well in English, given that it's not your first language, but you would often write. And I remember thinking, like, everyone would be hanging on every word, but it was the thing that is really relevant for this podcast is the way that you could hold energetic space. You could sit on that call for the whole time. You were present with everybody. You interacted with everyone who, whenever it was their go, and then you still had this energy at the end of the call to do you. And I think this is really the power of an MG, is that there is plenty of you for you to go around. And like you say, I love what you said, like there's plenty, share it, it's free. But this you're too much bullshit, that's got to go. We've got everyone who has an MG in their life, you need to throw that you're too much stuff out. Like, instead, get on the energetic train and really lean into the power of an MG, because, oh my God, it's beautiful. You're beautiful. Now, I want to talk about, next, let's talk about the not self and the signature. So for an MG, and the other thing I do want to actually talk about while we're on responding is that an MG also picks up the part of the strategy to inform. Informing is really important for an MG as well, right? Yeah. Like, of course, we've got about that bit. They get this, so they get the responding from the generator, and then the informing from the manifestor. And from my experience, having this big energy, very much repressed that energy, the informing piece for me, it's such a difference, because as soon as I started informing people and teaching people that I needed to be informed, all of a sudden, these things that, like, knowing that I was taking up space energetically, or that my big energy, or whatever it was like everything flowed, and it was so much easier to be in my energy when I was informing. What's your experience of that?
Oh, I had this marvelous experience about that, because I didn't realize that, actually, because it's so unnatural to inform, because that was something that really, really resonated about the podcast with the manifestor, with Frankie, that she said, well, I always have the feeling that when I inform, I have to ask for permission, and I don't want permission, because when I simply want to go. And that's totally something that I always felt the same. Like, when I inform, there might be a chance that they say, well, that's not a good idea. So I never informed. But I've got this thing. My husband is a self-projected projector 6'2", and he is someone who is completely in the flow. So he does not plan anything. He goes without planning because he wants to do what he has to do at that moment. And I am some kind of a freak on that particular part, because I always like to know what we are going to do. That's my one, I guess, in my profile, because I want to be prepared. So when we go for a ride, for instance, I always ask him, what are we going to do? He said, I don't know what we're going to do. We're just going for a ride. And the last time I told him about what this informing piece for me means, that it doesn't matter if he only tells me we're going for a ride, and I don't know where we're going to, but we're going for a ride and see where we're coming. That's enough for me. I said, oh, perfect, love it. Then we don't have these discussions in the car. Why don't you tell me where we're going? And now I don't know what we have to what I have to take with us, and so on and so on. And now he said, and he actually said, and that was amazing. He said, "Is it that easy?" I said, "Yes, it's that easy." So this informing part, and also me simply telling someone, "Okay, I'm going there and there for in a moment," and that's okay. Have fun.
Yes.
And that was, to me, that was such a relief. I thought, oh, that's amazing. I simply have to say,
I love it.
Then and then and then I'm going there and then there. That's my agenda. That's what I'm going to do. And he simply says, oh, perfect. See you in a moment, or have fun. Oh, that's okay. And that was such a relief. So
yeah.
Amazing.
And I love what you said. And this is really important, because obviously when we first come to human design, we're thinking our design. So we're like, oh, what are the rules? What's right? What's wrong? And ultimately we're going to throw all of that out. But what is so important about what you said, it's like, you're even okay, as long as you're informed that he doesn't know where you're going, you're okay. Yeah, so the thing with, like, it's informing itself is incredibly powerful, and it really is about building that muscle. It is not natural, like to the manifestor, it is not natural to the manifesting generator. And the muscle needs to be built, not only for you to inform, because that's the thing, they do have this fear that they will be pulled out of the flow of energy, and you won't. When you inform, everything becomes easier, and when you're informed, everything becomes easier. I love it. Now, let's talk about frustration and satisfaction. So when we talk about frustration, we're talking about what we call the not self in human design. And whenever we're exhibiting the not self, what it's saying is, it's just a little indicator that says we're out of alignment, or with the generator and the manifesting generator, we've hit a plateau. We've hit a point where our energy, and especially as an MG, the big energy, has kind of got nowhere to go. So it feels frustrated. This is an area where, especially as an MG, if you feel frustration, often you want to move. You want to move your physical body, because when you move your physical body, you move the energy, and your energy and the energy around you. And frustration can also be because you are constantly or you're being like, you're connected to the flow, you're connected to energy, and then you get pulled out for some reason, and then you go back in, and then you get pulled out, and then you go back in, and then you get pulled out. So that can also create frustration. But what I want you to understand is, it's just an indicator. It's just an indicator that says something needs tweaking, or I need to just leave what I'm doing and go and move my physical body. What's your experience with frustration, Mary?
Oh my goodness. Well, actually, the part that most resonates is the part that when I am when I'm totally into something, and all my focus and power is on that particular thing, and I'm getting disturbed. Like when I'm in my flow, and I'm doing, and I'm creating, and I'm whatsoever doing, and someone comes into the room and says, Mom, or Marieke, or and they disturb me, and then I think, oh my goodness, not now. And that moment, it's not even frustration, it's anger. So get out now. Because then it's gone. Afterwards, it's gone. I know it's gone. So the part of being disturbed in a flow that which I'm in, and also the part of reaching this plateau, and then this boredom feeling comes, and then the frustration about, what should I do next? Because I'm done with this, but what will they think? Because they might think that I'm always done with things, and why don't I stick to this one? Why can't I stick to this one thing like everybody can? Why can't I simply stick to it? And this part of actually flipping then into something else, in which I get this new desire from, because that's always this people say to me, is that when I step into something, I am that part. That's what I'm into, stepping into. I worked at the police force. When I was a policewoman, I was a policewoman. I worked at the ambulance, what's that called? An emergency department with ambulances. Then I was this person that was from the ambulance. I worked with people that, with elderly, then I was from the elderly. So I am what I'm with. But when it doesn't give me this spark anymore, then there comes this moment that I feel, I guess I'm done with this. So I have to go to do something next, to get my next step. But this was very, actually my CV looks like that. It's always about 2 years, and then there comes, the next and the next and the next. And when I reverse engineered this, because this was such a light coming to me when I heard this about the MG, I reverse engineered, and I thought, that's funny. Actually, I always reacted on something, because when I was in at this moment of reaching this plateau, there was always coming a question about, we've got this and this for you. Would you like to do that? Or we got this and this for you. Would you like to start that? And that is actually always that I also then reacted on something that came onto my path. And this was always something that I had to do then. And now I feel relieved, because a lot of time, I really cursed myself for being such a quitter, actually. And now I think, no, I do not curse myself ever again, because it's what I am, and it's what I can do, and it's what I can bring to the world. Is that starting something new for me is because it is good. I bring something new, and it's good, and it's not something that should be cursed this way. So frustration to me is always, and frustration or anger is I can really get very, very angry also, but frustration is always now a sign for me, a signpost that I have to go inwards and think about, what am I doing now? What is it that is coming up, and is it time to go for a new step? And see what is coming on your path for the couple of for the time coming afterwards. Now, which signpost is coming towards you to get into this next step?
And you bring
this relief. This is liberating. That's liberating. It's definitely liberating.
And you bring up two really important points, like lots of points, but two that I want to start with or focus on. Number one, we're going to get to the plateau, but the first one I want to talk about is, this piece about quitting, like I'm done. And this is a real MG trait. And every MG I've come across, they on some level think they're a quitter. And this is the way that their energy works is, like Mary was saying, like it's totally invested until it's not. And then all of a sudden it's done and dusted. And when I say they get in, learn faster and get out, this is this energy of like, oh my goodness, I have to go down this rabbit hole. They go down the rabbit hole, they get everything they need. And it's not a mental they need. It's like their energy, their soul, whatever it is, knows what they need from this. And once they've got it, they move on. And what can happen is that, like a generator, the way their energy flow, the way their energy works is it's growth, plateau, and it keeps doing that growth, plateau. And if they're in the plateau, it's the same as generators. They have to be very careful. MGs must only quit something in response at any time, only quit something in response. What Mary was sharing is that, and I'm going to get to the reverse engineering part as well, is that when you have something to respond to that says, yep, that you're done with that, your energy says you're done with that, and then all of a sudden there's something else to respond to over there, or even to the point where you just know you're going to quit a job, and then all of a sudden one day your boss does that thing, and it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. You're like, boom, quit. And like Mary was saying, what you're going to see is that it wasn't about just not doing something anymore. It was because the new response, the new opportunity had opened up, and it was time you have the energy, your soul, you've got what you needed from this, and that the MG will move on. Now, the thing with an MG is, again, Mary, my CV until I became an entrepreneur, it looked exactly the same. Like, I mean, it was pretty much all advertising jobs, but every 2 years it was like I worked, in 2 different TV stations. I worked in agencies. Like it was never, I worked in a publishing house. Like it was never exactly the same. It was kind of like similar skills going from one to the other. And after 2 years, I just get itchy feet and have to move on. One of the things you're going to see with MGs as well is that when you look back, especially once you hit about 40, once you start looking back, you're going to be like, oh, I see how the pieces come together, and I got this thing from that job or that career, and I got this thing from there. Because the MG is a non-linear being that is basically breaking shit to make better shit, and really help the human race move forward faster. That's what they're going to see. They're going to see that although it doesn't look like it makes sense, and potentially they're a quitter and they can't sit on one thing or just stick to one thing, what you're going to see is how everything has its purpose. As you get from about 40, you're like, oh, I see how all of it really fits together. And what Mary said as well about frustration and anger, anger is the signature of the manifester, so that can also play out. I definitely do anger as well when I can snap, if I'm pulled out of, or if I've informed, boom, especially, like if I've informed and said, exactly. If I've informed and I'm deep in something, and someone pulls me out of it, it's like Mary said, like once you get pulled out, you're like, oh shit, it's like it's gone, like the magic's gone. And often I can get back into it, but that is a trait that the MG with the direct connection to the throat especially will have. Rightio, I want to talk about satisfaction now. And satisfaction is another one of these indicators, but it's an indicator that we're on the right path. And one of the things that we spoke about with the generators, but it's really amplified, I think, with the MGs, is this sense of satisfaction, almost overlooked, because the MG has all this big energy. So they have this assumption that they're looking for big energy. They're looking for big breakthroughs. They're looking for big moments. They're looking for this big energy. But what actually is the thing that they love the most, and what's the best indicator, is when they get this really comfy, cozy, like, oh, that feels like a job well done. I feel so satisfied with what I did there. And it's a little bit calmer. Like it's a very grounded, like the image I just got then, like this, just like pat on the back, like, yeah, I feel like that was a job well done. Do you want to talk a little bit to how you experience satisfaction, Mary?
Yeah, that is spot on. That's spot on. I am totally much energy. That's something that we talked about. It's a lot. But when I am satisfied, when I feel good about the things that I did, or when somebody gives me feedback about something that I actually did in coaching or whatsoever, then I sit down, I lay back, and simply come to rest and think, oh my goodness, this is good. I feel totally good, and as if it's like some kind of a blanket is coming on over your head and coming on your shoulders and going down to the ground, and then feeling like, okay, this is what I have to do, and this is what when I'm at my best. Even when I did a lot of work, I had to do a project that was really, really hard working, and then the outside might think, "Oh my goodness, you're working so much hours, and you have so much to do, and don't you get a moment that you want to rest?" Well, that moment comes when, at the end of the day, I think, "Oh my goodness, we did so much today, and there was so much good work that we actually did, that a lot of people had this or that or whatever. What's the result doesn't matter." But then I can sit back, take a cup of coffee or whatever, a cup of tea or whatever, and then think about the day and think, okay, that was a lot of, I had some lot of work that I did, but it was so good because this really, we reached something with this, and people were happy, or people were glad we're there, or something like that. It's always this moment of sit down, take this, that was good. So this, that's the feeling.
I totally resonate. I have this exact same thing. It's like, it's when all the busyness is done. It's when it's all done. It's just that beautiful sense of relief. And, like MGs are the same as generators in the fact that they're here to do the work that just lights them up. And, it's a large part of our purpose to do the work that lights us up. We are helping to create the life force energy on planet Earth. And that indicator, that little that satisfaction is like, I have done planet Earth well today.
Yes.
Well done. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. And do also with your own shoulders, because I don't know, I always see it like with you also, where at least I'm a hand speaker. When I speak, my hands come always with it. That's and it goes from left to right and forward and back. And when I am satisfied, there's no hands. There's simply sitting back and laying the hands on the lap and thinking, or okay, I'm done. It was good. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I
love it. I get that whole
day.
Yeah, I love it. I get that whole job well done. There's nothing more here, nothing more needed. It's just, I love it. I love it.
Exactly.
So what I want to talk about, we're going to talk about manifesting generators in relationships, and sort of also talk about manifesting generators as kids. But I do want to talk a little bit to this piece on, and I know we've kind of really covered it, but what I want to ask you is this power, this energy, this big aura that you've been aware of, and what I've really seen over our time working together is actually seeing you step into it and really start to honor that power, and to stop second guessing yourself and be like, okay, well, maybe I am, and I don't want to use the words too much, but maybe I am sort of this big, powerful, and it's allowed to be big and powerful. What I would love to hear from you is like, how did you, or how can the listeners start to really step into that? Like, how can they really start to step into taking up space, to being okay with, okay, I walk in the room and everyone knows it. How can they start to muscle of feeling comfortable with being, a little bit here and a little bit there, and triggered by boredom, and it's just this big ball of energy. I know, like, you are really starting to own it, step into it. What would the advice that you would give to help people really to start to just trust, to stand into their power?
Okay, when you were talking, the only word that actually came to me was surrender. Simply surrender to being the one you are, and being glad or happy that this is what you got from Mother Earth or the universe. That's what you have to spend. And when you surrender to being a powerhouse, or being someone that's bringing the power into the society, and that's what you have to do. Only just be you, be the one you are, and surrender to that, and being okay with that is actually the only and the best advice I could give myself. It's something I wrote down a lot of times: surrender, surrender, surrender. It's okay, you're okay. And then when you because when you are starting to feel the worth of it, and that it's your own worth, and that you actually say, I am worth it, then it comes much more naturally, and you don't have no feeling at all to be defending yourself in this particular gift that you're given. It's like that you actually, it's about self accepting the one and the person you are, and also the traits that come with being you. It's surrendering to that feeling, and also what I felt with this process, because being burned out as an MG with still a lot of power, so indeed I can still run. It's not that I can that I have to spend this energy one way or another. That I now did this mastermind to find out that this is how I work on my burnout. Actually, this is my work on my burnout that comes with a lot of power, that comes with a lot of energy, that comes with who I am, and surrendering to that. And when people ask me, I do not defend myself anymore. I simply explain that that's how it works with me, and that everybody who is burned out has a different kind of showing it to the world. Someone who's more who doesn't have the sacral defined might be much more physically tired than someone who has a sacral defined, because although the sacral although my will center might be depleted for now, and I have to save my energies on the will center again to start something, my sacral is still on. It's 24/7 on. So I am an energetic being, and also in my burnout, I'm an energetic being. And now for myself, surrendering to that gave me so much relief to not be in some kind of a state of defending myself, that I'm not fitting into all the things you have to how is it called? All the points you have to be tired, you have to be depressed, you have to be this, you have to be that, to be completely fitting into the burnout label. Because this label, also this labeling, I don't like it when you get the label of, when you are this, then you have to be that and that. No, I don't fit in. I am me, and I am myself, and I am a lot of power, and that's also a powerful burnout. When you see me, you see a powerful burnout. That's what it is. And surrender to that.
And this is so, exactly. And I think surrender is such a beautiful thing, like surrender to really know who you are and who you can be, and I want to talk about this burnout, because you make a really good point. And I've experienced it time and time again. I've been at that many times. And before I knew this about about MGs or generators, but MGs as well, I was like, oh, well, I'm fine, because I can keep going to work, or I can keep turning up. Like it's not that bad. And the thing is with an MG is that when a generator type burns out, like Mary said, like the sacral's still going, so you can still turn up, but what happens is you lose the lust for life. Like you literally lose the spark that is your birthright as a generator type, that enthusiasm, the joy of living. It's like poof, it's gone. But you can turn up, you can do things, you can run a freaking marathon probably if you want to.
Definitely.
But and this is the thing, this is, Mary saying that the manifestor, the projector, the reflector, they'll be in hospital, but the MG and the generator, especially the MG, like because they have potentially got extra energy. Like there is this thing that is like, they don't get permission, they don't give themselves permission to actually rest. And that rest might be, you know, not work anymore, like taking time out from work, but that does mean that you ride a bike every day. Like, and it's that making sure that whatever you feel lit up and excited about, that's the muscle that the generator type and the manifesting generator has to start to build back. That's how they recover from burnout. Yes, they have to rest their physical body. And it's interesting, I've worked with so many MGs that have burnt out and they had no idea that they were burning out. And I've got one amazing client who I swear she's been in burnout for a decade, you know, and it was only, and she just took 3 months off everything, and she started to find that spark for life again. So this is such an important topic for the manifesting generator. And it goes in, we talked about this well, like boundaries, saying no. Like, just because you are a little bit superhuman doesn't mean you have to do everything. And that goes for generators and manifesting generators. Like, you have no obligation to do things just because you have the energy to do it. If it's a no, then you have to learn to say no, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Because ultimately, your energy, although it's on all the time, like, you can drop dead just like anyone else can drop dead. So you have to take care of yourself. Really, really important topic for generators and manifesting generators, because like Mary said, you don't, inverted commas, look like you're in burnout, but it's just not true.
For me, Emma, maybe next to that, it's this energy question. For me, I now ask myself first, is this the good energy I want to spend? Is this energy the energy I want to spend? Is it lighting me up? Or is this energy actually more depleting me? And those two questions are everyday questions for me now. That is it the depleting energy or is it the giving energy? And the giving energy is always the recovering energy. So sometimes the recovering energy is also simply doing things that cost physically a lot of energy, but do give me this recovering energy from, okay, now I'm doing things that light me up, and then I'm fine. I'm coming further in my process of accepting that it is always good to ask yourself the question, is this the depleting or is this the recovering energy? Because then also when you're recovered from burnout, you can
keep up the habit.
Exactly. So that you're not coming into burnout again, because we always have this risk because there's so much energy. It's so very important to ask yourself the question, is this the energy I want to spend? Or is this the energy I don't want to spend because it's getting me into some kind of position I don't want to come into? And this is also because the 3420 is actually always asking you to be busy. But it's this lioness feeling. I now ask myself the question, okay, is this a deer or is this a bunny? It's a bunny, not my energy. Let go. So
yeah, I love it.
Those kind of things.
Yeah. And I think I love that. Is it a deer or is it a bunny? Do not waste your time with bunnies, people. And at the end of the day, you know, the MG is a generator type. So if you get a yes from your sacral, that means you have the energy for it. If you get a no and you go ahead and do it anyway, you're not going to have the energy. You're literally, like Mary says, you're depleting your energy. Your sacral will not switch on. It will not give you the energy. This is how people burn out, because they are continuing to say yes to things that the sacral says no to, and therefore not getting access to the sacral energy. And, you know, first they'll deplete whatever other motors they have, and then they will just continue to deplete all their energy until they literally lose that lust for life energy. So
exactly.
Really, really important. Now, let's talk about MGs in relationship. I do want to, at the beginning of this, one thing that I cannot remember where I learned this, and I've not really heard it much elsewhere, but one of the things I learned years ago is that a manifesting generator needs a champion. And I just did a little thing on Instagram, but in my typical line 3, somehow lost it. So Sorry, guys, it was only there momentarily. But the manifesting generator, as far as being an MG and who has a champion, like my husband is definitely my champion. And what that means is someone who, like, honestly, it can be someone who's brave enough to hold space for you, because I know for many years I really intimidated my husband. Then we went through a dysfunctional time in our relationship, and what was really interesting, it was like, I was really attracted to you in the first place was how powerful you were and how ambitious you were and all those things. And I'm like, well, fuck, I can't do everything, man. Like, I'm raising kids, I'm taking care of the house, and you want me to bloody dominate what? And ultimately, this was part of that being an MG and being too much. I was too scary. But he identified that they were the things that he really loved about me. And that was one of the areas for our relationship when things really changed, because I was like, no more playing small. I'm going big, so like it or lump it. And now I have this champion, and what that means is that he can see me be superhuman all the time. He can see me juggle a lot of things, do a lot of work, even with I can, Jedi mind trick one son while I'm, helping another one with homework. I can just whatever. But what he knows is just to pay attention, because there are things that I need that I don't even know I need, especially in my speed, that he's like, I gotcha. And he's like constantly, it's almost like one of the things that happens here, and I don't know if it's happened while we've been on this call, but for anyone who's worked with me long enough to see me in the car, you'll see I'm constantly being handed drinks or coffee or a cup of tea or something to eat, and that's him. Like, I know what you need. I know what you need. Do you resonate with needing a champion, Mary? And do you have a champion? Because I know you're a champion to your husband. But do you feel like you have, and it doesn't have to be a husband for everyone out there listening. It doesn't have to be a life partner. It could be your best friend. It could be your mum. But yeah, Mary, do you have a champion? Do you resonate with that?
Yeah, I totally resonate with this, what you're telling, because actually someone who sees you in the way you are is so totally important, because if you don't have someone around like that, you get a risk of just going and never get stopped, or just going and never get this moment of taking your own moment of rest, because you have to rest. And I do have a champion in my life, and that's actually indeed, of course, also my husband, because he's a 6'2", so he actually sees me as a as a 5'1" in my MG person being. And he also is someone he's actually the only one that can tell me without me becoming frustrated or or angry, telling me, honey, sit down. It's enough now. You have to sit down.
Me too. Me too. I so resonate with that. He's the only one. If anyone else tells me, I'm like, fuck off. But if he does, I'm like, I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen.
If he is telling me to sit down, I definitely have to go sit down. So that's also because actually my husband and I are yin and yang. We are so totally different. We are totally different.
Same.
But it is so this yin and yang sign is also in both parts. There's a little piece of the other. So that's what keeping them together. And I really need his kind of feedback to sometimes reset me and myself, and he's the only one who I'm letting it do. He is allowed to do it, and nobody else is. And he's actually my second, the twig on my tree of power. He's the twig that's sometimes giving the signs. Okay, it's okay now. It's okay now. Now you go down, sit down, and he also feels exactly when it is not okay to tell me to sit down. So it's always the right moment.
Same.
And I always think, how do you know this? How do you know this?
Yeah,
that's totally good. And that actually is also something that gives me the energy to keep going. Also, because our situation is kind of complicated. He has cancer,
Yeah.
and it's challenging. So he has cancer. So his body sometimes is really depleted, and he has a lot of energy to save for his physical keeping up, and that also is in some kind of a balance that I can do a lot of, I can give all my energy to all the things around him. And he is actually the firehouse that is looking up to me. At the right moment, he shines his light on me. And that's the only thing he has to do, because all the stuff next to it comes from the energy that me and my daughters are having, because I have a twin daughter and they're both generators, so they're also sacral beings. And I really believe that our energy together is resulting in that he is doing still very well in his illness. And so this is also a proof that people are energy beings, and you use each other's energy. And also that's also, again, that this power energy is that I always say I'm sharing it. It's here to share. It's free. You can use it to get through this illness as long as possible, and let's do this together. So definitely true.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that metaphor of the lighthouse. I think that is so true for, any MG with a champion. Like they're just the lighthouse. They're the one that that can, tame the wild horse, like be able to just be like, babe, honestly, sit down. I love that. I think it's so beautiful. Rightio. So let's talk a little bit about MGs in relationships. So being an MG in a relationship, there's a couple of really important things. If you're more manifester, meaning you've got a direct connection to the throat, but it could be, even the indirect could be enough. This, like a manifestor, it makes you energetically independent. So it's going to be more prevalent or more prominent in a direct connection to the throat. And what that means is that you do not energetically, inverted commas, need anyone, but you want someone. So don't get me wrong. But this is an energy type that needs independence. It needs freedom. It needs to be, have space to be their own person. It might even be alone time, or the freedom to adventure and do something on their own. And, like Mary said, like in a relationship, the manifesting generator is like, I'm the same with my husband, like, sweet, take my energy. I don't care. There's plenty of it. You've got 3 MGs, go for it. So they are really these energies that tend to be very, sharing. They're like, take my energy. But there's that counterintuitive piece is that they will always tend to be, or they will often tend to be, quite independent. Now, the other thing that I want to add, and this is a generated thing as well, is that they like to be seen and valued for the work that they do, because this is why they're on the planet. They're on the planet to do the work, whatever that is, whatever their inverted commas work is. So in a relationship, a generator or a manifesting generator is going to want to be seen and valued. I know for me, this is one of the biggest shifts when I actually went all in my business. Everything else improved. I became a better mother. I became a better wife. I became a better daughter. I became a better friend, because I was actually being valued for what I'm on the planet to do. So Mary, do you want to talk a little bit about that, and what would your tips for being a manifesting generator, or being in a relationship with a manifesting generator?
Yeah, definitely. About that being seen, that really resonates, because when you do something, you do this, at least that's in my case, that's my case, and I guess that That's for many manifesting generators the case. You do it with your heart and soul and everything that you have in you. So even though it is not necessary to get this feedback of how you're doing it, because you can do it alone. I've got the single definition also, because so I'm totally an independent woman if I want to. And this also has a disadvantage sometimes, because then you always think, oh, let me do that, I can do that quicker, I can do it myself, I'll do it myself. And that's not good, because then you give not space to anyone, and you don't give space to anyone else. And it's very important to give space to someone else, because then you receive space for yourself also, because it's always giving and taking. It's always the vice versa. But with this part
gold
of
people, press
definitely.
pause, rewind, write it down. Back to you, Mary.
Okay, thanks. But it's with this part of being seen, maybe because it is coming from your heart, from your soul, from your everything, it is so much more worth to get the feedback of, hey, you're doing right. Oh, that's lovely what you did there, over there. And hey, I really appreciate you saying this or that to me, or those kind of little things, getting back to you, and then feeling feeling seen in the way that you are, and that is the thing that you bring to the world and where you shine your light on, is so amazing, satisfying for a manifesting generator, because you've got this speed, and you also got this stamina of going on, and we're going to do this. And then the moment that someone is giving you back, oh, I'm so glad you did this, is like as if you can have a moment for yourself, and simply seeing yourself in, oh, that's funny, oh, thank you so much. And you are going to be able to learn how to receive things, because this is definitely something I had to develop in my life, to actually receive that somebody is giving me a compliment. Because a lot of time I was, oh yeah, that's good, that's okay, of course, that's no problem, I always do those kind of things, no problem. But now when somebody is giving me a compliment about something that I did, or something that I said, or something that really lighted them up, then I am able to receive it, and give myself permission to go inside myself and feel that this is what I have to do. And then you, as a result, you more acknowledge your life purpose, the things you have to do in this life, the things you want to do, and the things you are meant to do in this life. So it's giving you more permission to be you, and to feel yourself. It's more the feel things. A lot of I lived 46 years. I'm 46, and 46 years I lived with my mind separated from my body, because I couldn't receive a compliment. And now when I really receive it, I can feel it in my body, and I think, hey, those two are connected. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
My head and my body are connected. Oh my goodness.
Yay.
That's good.
I love
And that gives you also the feeling of being meaningful, and being there as and we all are, every person on this beautiful earth is meaningful, and has a right to be there as themselves. And that's something I find out is very important, that you feel, because it's all about feeling. It's about awareness. It's about consciousness. It's not about the mind. It's about consciousness.
Exactly.
By being aware.
Exactly. And that's it, right? Everything to do with human design is like, we need to get back in our physical bodies and allow our physical bodies to lead us, and our intuition and our energy and all of those amazing things. That's awesome. So let's talk about I'm really conscious of time because we're doing a really good job here. 2 MGs talking about being an MG, like, oh yeah, we're enjoying ourselves, people. So I want to talk about us MGs as kids. So with a manifesting generator as a child, there is a sense that this kid's going to need that's going to need yes no questions. Like, learn to ask your MG kids yes no questions. One of the things for me that I feel I was really, really lucky is that I had a lot of freedom as a child and even as a teenager. I knew where my boundaries were. Like, I tried out all my boundaries. I knew where they were. And then I was given a lot of freedom within them. And I really think that was, I was very lucky. I picked my parents well on that regard. So MG kids, they're also, they do need to, these are really independent little souls that need to learn to trust their own innate independence, and I have 2 MG kids, and it's the thing that, the more freedom I give them, and with my first, it was easier, but with my younger son, who's just turned 10, as he turns 10, I've just realized the last even weeks, I'm like, wow, like, you're just a whole new human. Like, my mothering, I gave my first son freedom earlier because my second son, in my ego, was like, you need to listen. I need to be able to trust you. And I've really had to build that muscle of going, oh my God, he is like so okay. You need to trust you, Emma. You need to let go, Emma. And I'm really seeing the results in him, like, he believes in himself. He's very determined. He's got great initiative. He has the freedom to, I don't know, like, we really give him as much freedom as we can. And I see him really come to life. So when you were a kid, Mary, what was good, what was supportive being an MG? Like, obviously your parents wouldn't have known, but what were the supportive things of being an MG? But what are the things that really shut down your power as well? And again, we're not here judging parents. Parents were doing the best they could with what they had. And they didn't know they had a powerful MG that they probably wanted to shut down and control. But tell me, what worked and what didn't work for those parents of MGs out there?
Yeah, well, actually, when I look back at my childhood, I was the eldest daughter, where I have one sister, and I was the eldest, and I always had to uncover the path. So actually, all the things that I covered, I had to find out first. Going out for the first time, my father would do this, set me in front of the door of the discotheque or whatever it was, or of the party center, and he would pick me up in front of the door, so because it's not safe, and also on. But my younger daughter, my younger sister, that was no problem. So I always had to be the one to uncover the path first, and it helps a lot to have the trust that it's okay to find your own path. And it's if you protect a manifesting generator too much, it's like as if there's sometimes is coming this kind of a shield around you that you are not worth, or you're not you can't do it yourself. You know what I mean? As if
100%. I totally agree. Like,
as if you always have to be protected. I don't have to be protected. I can very good take care of myself. And so every time the moments I was left, there was a trust in, okay, she's going to do that very good, and that's totally fine. Then I felt myself seen, and I felt myself full of trust and confident of taking that journey. But when I was protected too much, as if also because they have probably seen, and indeed I totally agree, parents do not know always. I'm a parent myself, and I'm so glad I know my children's human design, so I can see a little bit more in depth in depth in what is going on in them. But every parent, in my opinion, has the best intention in growing up growing up their children. So they must, especially my father was some kind of he was very protective and very, also my first boyfriend, he's now my husband, he was actually my first boyfriend, and he had to do a lot of shit before he actually got into the door of that the door of my father was open to him. And because, well, she has a lot to offer, and he really had to do a lot to get accepted as being my boyfriend. And those kind of things are all these protecting your MG. Just let them go, let them experience, let them experiment with life in what is coming towards them, because life comes towards them, and it comes with humps, and it's a bumpy ride. It definitely is. I remember, like as if it was a day of yesterday, I broke my back when I fell off a horse. And my mother said to my father when he came to the hospital, she constantly said to him, Jan, he's called Jan, do not tell her she shouldn't have ride the horse. She knows. And when he came into the hospital, the first thing he said, yeah, I told you so, you shouldn't have ride the horse because it's... And my mother constantly, no, I just told him he shouldn't say that. He does again, and it is okay. But that is exactly the point, is that do not tell me what to do, because I know, but I have to deal the consequences if there's something going not the way it should go, because that's life. And that's actually the advice I can give to people, to parents with MGs. Just let them experiment with life, because life is to be learned, and you have to learn from life, from the mistakes that you make, because the mistakes give you the wisdom for the rest of your life to okay, that's okay, and that's not okay. Perfectly, go on.
Oh my God.
And that's how an MG lives life.
Yeah, and I just, oh my God, Mary, you're so freaking wise. I love it. You know, I think if you are a parent out there of an MG, I think this is incredibly amazing advice. Like, being a parent of them myself, being one myself, the overprotection of an MG, and in fact a manifester, just stop it. Don't do it, because it is the thing that literally disconnects them from their power. It disconnects them from this energetic independence that they have. And it's better, like Mary says, it's better that they hopefully they don't break their backs, but it's better that they scuff their knees or ding their elbows. But like, they have to learn, and they're designed to learn. They're designed to have this more resilient energy about them. So I love that. It's great advice. All right, so the last question I have, because of course we've gone a long time, the last question I have for you is, if there are coaches out there, if there are human design readers or guides out there, and they're working with a manifesting generator, not other than anything, what would your advice be for coaches and guides with their clients as MGs?
So when you are coaching an MG, most of the time when I was coached, I got this little hairs in my neck that were standing up as some kind of an intuitive reaction when somebody would wanted to parent me in their coaching. Like, okay, you're saying this? Well, in my opinion, you should do that. And then I got off the record. I get off, because that's not what I need. I need to not be parented, but be seen as an adult. And in that case, be seen in my my power. So don't, it's very good for me to ask, let them ask indeed the yes and no questions, because open questions are not so good for me, because when there comes an open question, then I always have to think too much, and then when I have to think too much about an open question, then I do not feel in my body what is quite right. And when I don't feel my body, or when I don't know, then they are going to, that the result is that they're going to parent me. Well, I don't know. When you have to, you could do this or you could do that. So it's very important to ask a yes or no question, and then give the space to a manifesting generator to, after the yes or no, it's not a yes, no, that's it, point. No, then there comes the story. So the story always comes after the yes or the no. And that's the story that has to, in best case, be listened to, and then talk on about it. So not giving those advices again, but simply talk it out and talk about it. And how do you feel about that? And what was it that triggered you, and what was it that didn't trigger you? That's the kind of coaching an MG loves to have, because then in that then they have the able to talk, because we love to talk, we have this power to talk, and feel that they get the space to actually talk out what it is they need. And then when they ask, okay, what would you think about it? Then it is okay to simply show someone, okay, when I think about, when I hear you talk about this, well, this could be an advice. Does this resonate with you? And then you can let it come in again. So simply do not parent. Do not parent. It's
I love
not
it.
okay. And give space for the power to come out and speak it out, and then go through on asking questions all over again and again. And in the end, when someone asks you for advice, then you could, like some kind of a conclusion, give your advice about everything that you heard, because then you definitely show the MG you listened and you heard, and you've seen the MG in the particular problems or questions they live with. That's my advice.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so good. And I totally excuse me, just choking on my own spit again. I totally agree. You know, I think there's this thing in the manifestor panel, and I think Frankie even said it as well on the podcast, like, don't tell an MG what to do. Don't tell them what to do. Don't parent them. You know, you can ask them yes, no questions to really help them know what's true for them. There is this part, and I know this, especially having the 3420, is that like your mind doesn't know. Like you actually, the more you talk it out, you're like, oh, that's why it's a yes, and that's why it's a no. And it's only in the talking it out that it makes sense to the MG. So it is really important to allow MGs to talk it out, to hold space for them. And so it's really important for you to hold space for them and allow them to talk things out. The other thing that I think is really powerful is that you can ask yes, no questions. And when they say yes or no, just hold space. As a coach, don't just jump straight in. Hold space, because often what's going to happen with an MG is something's going to come out of their mouth, and it's going to be something that gives them, it's going to give them an answer that they're looking for, or a meaning that they're looking for, or something like that. They will start to answer their own questions through that process. So, awesome. I love it. Thank you, Mary. This has been amazing. Anything else you want to add?
Well, on that last point, what I wanted to say is that it's funny that you sometimes, as an MG, while you're talking and speaking, you've got this light bulbs of, oh, that's quite wise what I'm saying right now.
My God, me too.
And it comes
It's just
from,
like, it's
I
like,
don't know, but it's coming out just
Yep.
like that.
I have exactly the same thing. And it's this, and I say it so often, like, oh, it's not me, it's coming through me. Like things will come out of my mouth and I'll go, or I'll listen back to a podcast, or I'll listen back to something and go, holy crap, that was really clever. That was wise. Like, and I agree, it's our energy. It's the way our energy comes out. It's not like we are that clever, because we're not. We're just, and we probably, actually, we are that clever. But it's the way the energy just moves. And sometimes you can, like, that's how I hear my light bulb moments. Or if anyone's worked with me, they'll see how I go, oh, mid-sentence, I go, oh, and it's because as I'm speaking, all the things are dropping in, and I'm like, it all makes sense now. So yeah, I love that addition. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well,
No, it was good.
Thank you.
It was good. I'm so grateful to to be part of this, and grateful to got all the information you gave us, but also the information that came through to actually become more empowered with myself, because I'm an empowering myself woman. I'm a very independent woman, but also self-empowering woman, and this allowing myself, or giving myself permission to be that, was such that's actually freedom. So I'm very grateful to be on your podcast as an MG, because that's actually how I feel. I am an MG and I'm proud of it. So that's
I love it.
I loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for all of you out there listening, I really hope that this has been empowering for you, because ultimately we are all a part of a perfect puzzle. And, when we are truly ourselves and we lean into the good, the bad, and the ugly of our truth, because really there is no bad or ugly. Let's just be honest about that. It's just our minds that tell us that. When we lean into those things, we really are serving not only ourselves, but we're serving the planet. So thank you so much for joining, Mary. Thank you everyone for listening. I trust you've enjoyed the MG podcast, and I look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now.